of God is coming back super soon, so it's time to recap everything that happened in Season 3. Season 3 can be divided into two sections, the first half being the cage and the Wall of Peaceful Coexistence. The stuff here can be summarized pretty briefly, but essentially going into Season 3, Bomb's main goal is to rescue Jin Sung Ha, his master, the one who was defeated by Calivan, squadron commander of Jihad's army, and so Bomb, alongside Fug and his other companions, are trying to recruit Yama, who is a slayer of Fug and the one who is in charge of all the canines. If they can get Yama on their side, they have an entire army good to go. This kicks off a huge battle at the cage between Yama and his two other brothers, Paul and Doom. Kel Halam, an elder from Fug, shows up, and we basically get to learn more about who the canines are, how they operate, how they're created, and it all ultimately boils down to encountering Yasracha, another squadron commander of Jihad's army, who ends up becoming one of the main central antagonists of the big upcoming arc. Long story short, Yasracha can control the canines, Yama's arch enemy is Yasracha, and it all leads into stuff that happens in the nest. Before the nest, though, there's the Wall of Peaceful Coexistence, which is a mini arc where Jihad's army and Bomb are kind of at odds because they're trying to awaken the heroes inside of these two walls. They were sealed a long time ago, and Jihad's army is like, hey, we can awaken these heroes and get them on our side or kill them, and then Bomb is thinking the same, like maybe we can recruit them to our side. Cha joins Bomb's side, Doan joins Jihad's side, but eventually comes back and joins Bomb's side during the nest, and they become really core allies of Bomb. Calivan and White end up fighting, and Bomb continues to develop his red and blue Thrissa through this sort of external transformation similar to the canines, and it leads to this huge climactic second half of Season 3 at the nest. This is where a ton of stuff happens. So Calivan ends up joining Bomb's side because his new goal is to take down Liboric, who's the one who replaced him as squadron commander, because Liboric wiped out his whole squadron just for fun, so that's cool. Yama's goal is to take down Yasracha because Yasracha is the one who killed his father and the one who was responsible for the almost complete extermination of the canine people. Also, White is gaining tons of souls through the help of Kun. Kun is actually working behind the scenes to help White get stronger because White is one of the core, most important allies on Bomb's side right now. But it all leads to this huge moment where Yasracha is like, hey, I'm in control, and he institutes this new game called Gakcha Doseng, or the Cat Tower. 4 people from Bomb's side are going to undergo these trials, these fights, while their other companions are going to be locked inside the Cat Tower, where they can do a variety of tasks to assist the people who are fighting on the stages. Or they can acquire a mouse inside the Cat Tower and teleport themselves to the stage to, like, personally, physically assist them. Bomb, Yama, Calivan, and Evankel are the 4 people who are going through these stages, because they all have 4 different goals. Bomb wants to reach Jin Sung. He wants to rescue his master. Yama wants to reach Yasracha to get revenge. Calivan wants to reach Liboric so he can get revenge. And then Evankel is actually working now with Lafav, who betrayed the Lopobia family, betrayed Jihad's army. She's now working with Evankel, and she tells her and Han Sung about a warp drive. A warp drive that could become very disastrous because there's some pretty important people about to go through it. Bomb has a huge fight with White, because guess what? White ends up betraying Bomb once he gathered all that power, because ultimately all he cares about is now devouring Bomb's soul and corrupting Bomb. So Bomb and White have a huge fight where Bomb ends up getting the upper hand. White tells him that he killed Prince and Arkraptor, which is of course true, and through the help of Kun and Rak, he's able to overpower White, and also Arya. Arya's there too. Arya joins Bomb's side. She was on Liboric's side, but she's cool now. And Bomb freaking pops off, dude. This is the most impressive display from Bomb we've ever seen, hands down. He literally copies Arya's time manipulation ability to bring her essentially back to life. It's nuts. So White's souls disperse and they enter Kun and Rak, which gives them a big power-up, and instead of Joaquin being the one in control, Vicente is now the one in control. Bomb and company end up encountering Kun Mashini, who is pulling all the strings, because we find out later she releases Jin Sung, right? Even though she contributed to locking up Jin Sung, Mashini's super strange here. She's 5D chessing everything, but she also leads Bomb to Leviathan. Leviathan is a creature that Traumerei has a strong connection to. Traumerei fed his own memories and emotions to Leviathan. It's a pretty big deal, and Bomb is able to break the seal with the help of Vicente, and Bomb is able to acquire the power of Leviathan. Evankel destroys one of the warp drives, but there's another warp drive that she's not aware of that ends up hosting Traumerei. And as Calivan is about to get revenge on Boric, Traumerei goes through, and once Traumerei arrives, Calivan goes back to Jihad's side because he's a simp, what can I say? During this entire thing, the Cat Tower, we're having a lot of cool fights with various members of Yasracha's crew, and through every single one, we learn a lot more about Yasracha and his motivations and the way he operates and how he recruits people, which ends up leading to a huge confrontation between Yama and Yasracha. And Yama starts seeing flashbacks too. He starts to see things from the past, and we end up getting this full flashback, this whole side story about Yama's parents, Wang Wang and Nen Nen, alongside Yasracha. They were kind of like a trio of friends, and climbing the tower, Yasracha and Wang Wang were best friends, but kind of rivals. Wang Wang is a canine, Yasracha is a feline. Their sort of feelings and personalities and motivations contradict each other. It's such an amazing story, and one that really could have just been its own story separately from Tower of God. I applaud SIU for spending so many chapters in a row developing this, because it really is incredible. But it leads eventually to Nen Nen being killed by Traumerei, the ancient that she was hosting entering Yama. We still don't know what's going on there, and Wang Wang ultimately ends up asking Yasracha to kill him. And Yasracha can't do it, so Traumerei possesses Yasracha with his abilities and forces Yasracha to kill his old best friend. It's pretty messed up. So even though they're confronting each other, once Yasracha turns on Traumerei later on in the arc, Yama ends up working alongside Yasracha and even becomes a bit protective of him. It's a really interesting dynamic, and one that I'm really excited to continue once the chapters return. Because Yasracha ends up being almost killed by Traumerei. His core is destroyed. He had a bunch of spikes that determined how many lives he still had, and his 9 lives as a cat are gone. He's on his last leg right now. And we're wondering how long he's gonna last, probably a month or 2 according to him, so he still has a role to play in the story. We just gotta wait and see what it is. But the big deal, the big moment is that Traumerei is now here, and Bomb ends up assisting Jin Sung, fighting off some members of the Lopobia family, but one way or another, Traumerei confronts Bomb, and Traumerei reveals his motivation. This entire nest building up to this moment, Traumerei asks Bomb to marry one of his children and join the Lopobia family. His motivation being, or his reasoning being, that the Lopobia family already has one irregular, being himself, but if they had a second one, that would place them above any other great family by leaps and bounds. Bomb, of course, refuses because he's like, why would I marry someone that I don't love? Like, why would you force them to marry? Bomb just being a pure sweet being that he is, but it doesn't really matter to Traumerei. He ends up just unleashing his Shinsu Black Hole Sphere, which is in the form of a bunch of animals, which is sick, and he destroys the nest. He ends up like wiping out most of his own forces. Bomb's side ends up escaping, and they end up being all right, but they do end up splitting up. They end up going through this huge plan with the warp drives, where Han Sung develops this idea that they can escape if they use the warp drives, and Bomb and Jin Sung and Cha, they end up escaping towards one area of the floor, but with Traumerei. Like, Traumerei just boards the ship with them. It's kind of funny. Yama and Karaka and Doom and Yasracha go to another area where they encounter a bunch of other beastkin, which is super interesting. And then some of the Lopobia people, like Perdity and Perseus, they end up encountering the Pobedao mothership. They encounter the homeland of the Pobedao family, which leads to us seeing Rachel for the first time in season 3, and through her own manipulations and through this new character, Pobedao Bellarire, they end up capturing Kun and Rak and Arya and Hwaryun. And Rachel, she's got some plans for Kun. Bellarire seems to think of Kun as his new pet kitty, which is not creepy at all. The main things that happen near the end is through the help of Jin Sung, Traumerei and Jin Sung, and even Bomb to an extent, although he doesn't have much say, come to an agreement that they're going to host a marriage tournament. Whoever wins this marriage tournament will marry Bomb, whether it be from the Lopobia family or whoever wins. And if Bomb wins the tournament, he doesn't have to get married. So this is leading up to the upcoming arc, we can only assume. And the very last thing we see is Lopobia Ren, a character we hadn't seen since season 1, like vowing revenge and vowing to take down Juvial Gray's 25th bomb. So exciting, bro. That's the ultimate cliffhanger, and that's where we left off. Obviously, there's a ton I didn't say, and there's a ton that you could find out if you went back and read the chapters, but that's the gist of things. We're waiting to see what's going to happen with this upcoming marriage tournament. We know Dorsey and Anak are probably going to be there, at least in Dorsey, right, in their team, which is super cool. Lopobia, Shiliel, and Liliel. Liliel herself had a big fight with Bomb, and she really doesn't want to marry Bomb, so it's really exciting. Like, a lot of stuff is happening here. We're going to see more of Traumerei. We're going to see more of Yama's area. And obviously, we got to see more of, like, Fug's side of things. We got to see this cool area of Fug alongside some of Bomb's companions. It's super neat. There's a lot to look forward to with Tower of God returning, so definitely you don't want to miss it when that chapter releases, because you better believe I'm reading it right when it releases, like the second it's out. I can't wait. Thank you so much for watching. Enjoy the next chapters that release, and I'll catch you later. Bye-bye.